Riley Santos had grease under her fingernails and a broken ventilation unit spinning lazily beside her head. She grabbed it without looking, fingers finding the housing by muscle memory while her eyes stayed locked on the diagnostic screen. The wrench in her other hand twisted itself free from her grip and started drifting away. She snagged it with her foot, hooked it back to her belt, and kept working. Just another Tuesday in the maintenance tunnels of Nexus Station 7. Through the open access panel, she could see the main corridor where a group of Thessian soldiers were trying to march in formation. Their magnetic boots made rhythmic clanking sounds against the deck plating. One of them missed a step and started to float upward. His squad mates grabbed his arms and yanked him back down. Riley shook her head. 3 months those troops had been training here, and they still walked like they expected the floor to disappear. Her radio crackled. "Santos, you copy?" "Go ahead, Captain. Need you in observation control. Big exercise starting in 20 minutes. Riley secured her tools and pushed off the wall. She sailed through the tunnel, caught a handhold at the intersection, and redirected herself down toward the central hub. No thrust pack needed. No magnetic boots. Just push and glide. Same as swimming through the water tanks back on the asteroid mining station where she grew up. The observation control room overlooked the training sector. Captain Orrin Webb stood at the main console, arms crossed, watching the preparations below. He nodded when Riley floated in and grabbed a handhold beside him. "They're really going through with it?" Riley asked. 6 teams. Elite units from 6 different species. They're boarding the old mining platform out past the debris field. Webb gestured at the holographic display showing the derelict structure. "Full tactical exercise. Secure the facility, extract the data cores, get out clean." Riley studied the rotating image of the derelict. She recognized it. She had worked on platforms just like it before joining the Coalition Maintenance Corps. Tight corridors, lots of angles, plenty of places where you could lose your orientation if you did not know what you were doing. "They ready for that?" she asked. Webb made a non-committal sound. "We'll find out." Down in the staging area, the alien teams were gearing up. Riley watched Commander Quinn of the Thessian fleet inspect his soldiers. Tall, lean, with blue-gray skin and those big dark eyes that saw in 3 different light spectrums. Impressive species. Incredible strategists. Terrible at zero-G movement. Each soldier carried enough equipment to stock a small ship. Magnetic boots with adjustable field strength. Thruster packs with redundant fuel cells. Guide cables that could shoot anchors into walls. Gyroscopic stabilizers. Orientation computers. Everything the Coalition's best engineers could design to help species that evolved on low-gravity worlds function in the void. Humans just used a pressure suit and a good sense of balance. Dr. Haven was down there too, all 4 arms gesturing as he explained something to his Korean research team. Scientists, not soldiers, but they had insisted on observing the exercise firsthand. Riley hoped they had practiced their movement drills. "You think they'll actually need all that gear?" Riley asked. "Hope so," Webb said. "Cost enough to outfit them." The teams began boarding their transport shuttles. Sergeant Lorne of the GRAC security force had to duck to fit through the airlock. His species came from a heavy-gravity world built like walking tanks, muscles so dense they could barely float, even in zero-G. Riley had seen Lorne train. He relied entirely on his magnetic boots. Without them, he was helpless. The shuttles departed. Riley pulled up a chair and locked her boots to the floor, settling in to monitor the environmental systems like she had been asked. The derelict platform was old, barely holding atmosphere, but the Coalition wanted it kept functional for training purposes. Her job was to make sure none of the teams accidentally vented themselves into space. The first 10 minutes went fine. The teams breached the airlocks, deployed into the interior corridors, and began their systematic sweep. Military precision. Textbook tactics. Commander Quinn's team took point, moving in tight formation with weapons ready. Their magnetic boots kept them anchored to the deck. Riley sipped her coffee. She had never understood why aliens needed to walk in space stations. Floating was faster. 11 minutes in, the lights on her console started flashing yellow. "That's weird," she muttered. Webb leaned over. "What is it?" "Power fluctuation in the derelict's reactor core. Probably nothing, but..." The yellow lights turned red. Everyone out. Webb barked into the comm. All teams evacuate immediately. The electromagnetic pulse hit before anyone could move. Riley's console went dark for 3 seconds, then rebooted with emergency backups. The camera feed from the derelict came back online, and her stomach dropped. The alien teams were tumbling through the corridors. Without magnetic fields, their boots were just heavy weights. Their guide cables hung useless. The pulse had fried every electronic system they carried. Worse, the emergency bulkheads had sealed. Each team was trapped in a different section of the platform. Comms are down, Webb said, his voice tight. Life support is failing in sections 4, 7, and 9. Riley counted heads on the screen. 6 aliens scattered across 3 sections. The ones in the dead zones had maybe 2 hours of suit oxygen, maybe less if they were panicking. Commander Quinn was spinning slowly in Section 4, trying to grab a wall and missing by inches. Every movement made it worse. Dr. Haven had all 4 arms flailing in Section 7, rotating on 3 axes at once. Sergeant Lorne and his partner were in Section 9, their heavy builds sending them bouncing off walls like pinballs. "We need to get them out," Riley said. "Can't send the shuttles in. The pulse might still be cycling." Webb slammed his fist on the console. "Damn it. We need someone who can navigate that mess manually." Riley was already unbuckling from her chair. "I'll go." Webb looked at her. "Santos, that's a combat rescue. We should send." "Send who?" Riley pushed off toward the equipment lockers. "Everyone human on this station is maintenance or administration. I'm the only one who has worked inside platforms like that. I know those corridors." She grabbed a pressure suit and started pulling it on. Basic model. No fancy electronics. Just fabric, seals, and a helmet. She clipped a small thruster pack to her back, more out of habit than need, and grabbed a tool belt. Webb watched her gear up. "You sure about this?" Riley sealed her helmet and tested her comm. "They've got 2 hours of air. I can get to all 3 sections in 90 minutes if I move fast. That's cutting it close. Then I better not waste time." She cycled through the airlock and launched herself into open space. The derelict platform hung against the stars like a broken tooth. Riley oriented herself, picked her trajectory, and fired a single burst from her thruster pack. Then she just glided, watching the platform grow larger, calculating the approach angle the same way she had calculated 10,000 jumps between asteroids. Not with computers, just eyes and practice. Behind her, through the station windows, she knew the alien commanders were watching. Time to show them what humans could do. The airlock on the derelict platform was stuck halfway open. Riley did not slow down. She twisted her body sideways, slipped through the gap, and caught the interior handle to kill her momentum. The metal was cold, even through her gloves. Inside was pitch black. The pulse had killed the emergency lighting, too. Riley activated her helmet lamp and swept it across the corridor. Debris floated everywhere. Broken panels, loose cables, chunks of insulation. She pushed off gently and started moving through it like swimming through a kelp forest. Section 7 was closest, Dr. Haven's last known position. Riley pulled up the platform schematic from memory. Take the main corridor 40 meters, hang a left at the junction, follow the curve to the laboratory module. She moved quickly, using minimal contact points, letting her momentum carry her. Every push calculated, every angle planned. The laboratory module came into view. Through the window, she could see Haven tumbling in slow motion, all 4 arms spread wide, reaching for something that was not there. His eyes were closed. He was making it worse by fighting it. Riley cycled the interior door manually. The mechanism was stiff, but she braced her feet against the wall and hauled it open. She slipped inside and grabbed a wall strut. "Dr. Haven!" The Korean's eyes snapped open. All 4 arms started flailing harder. "Stop moving," Riley said. "You're creating spin. Just hold still." Haven tried to speak, but his breathing was too fast. Panic. Riley recognized it. She had seen it happen to new miners who lost their orientation in the asteroid fields. She waited for Haven to rotate toward her, then pushed off at exactly the right moment. She caught his upper left arm and used his momentum to redirect both of them toward a sturdy pipe along the wall. Her grip was firm but not rough. "Got you," she said. "You're safe." Haven's four hands clamped onto the pipe so hard his knuckles went pale. I could not stop spinning. I tried to grab the walls, but every time I moved, "You made it worse." "Yeah, that's how it works." Riley positioned herself beside him, one hand on the pipe. "You ever swim in water?" "My species evolved in low gravity. We never needed to swim. That's the problem." Riley looked around the lab module. They needed to get to the main corridor, then work their way to the safe zone near the functional airlock. When you move in 0G, you can't think about standing or walking. You have to think 3 dimensions. Like flying. I did not know how to fly either. Riley grabbed a loose cable floating nearby and tied one into Haven's suit harness. "Then you're going to follow me. When I push off, you push off the same direction with half my force. When I grab something, you grab it too. Don't try to lead. Just copy what I do." She did not wait for him to agree. She pushed off toward the door, felt the cable go taut, and sensed Haven following. Good enough. They moved through the dark corridor together. Riley called out each move before she made it. Pushing off left wall in 3, 2, 1. Haven mirrored her movements, clumsy, but improving. His breathing started to slow down. "You make it look simple," Haven said. "Had a lot of practice." Riley caught a junction post and swung them around the corner. "Grew up on a mining station. My dad used to take me outside to help with repairs. I was doing spacewalks when I was 12. 12? That is a child. Yeah, well, asteroid stations don't have much gravity to begin with. Easier to learn young." They reached the safe zone. Riley got Haven secured to a handhold near the working airlock and checked his oxygen levels. 90 minutes remaining. Enough time if she moved fast. "Stay here. More people coming." She pushed back into the corridor before Haven could thank her. Section 9 next. Sergeant Lorne and his partner. Riley moved faster now, confidence building. She knew these platforms. Every one of them was built from the same basic modules. Same layout. Same dimensions. She found Section 9 by following the sound of impacts. Metal hitting metal over and over. Through the porthole window, she could see both Grax soldiers bouncing between the walls like rocks in a tumbler. Their species was dense, heavy-boned, built for 3 times Earth's gravity. In 0G, they had all the grace of falling anvils. Riley entered the section and immediately had to dodge. Sergeant Lorne came spinning past her head, arms windmilling, his partner right behind him. They hit the far wall and rebounded. Riley timed it, watching their rotation, calculating the vectors. When Lorne came around again, she pushed off and intercepted him mid-flight. She caught his equipment harness and used his own momentum to swing him toward a structural beam. "Grab that," she shouted. Lorne's hands clamped down on the beam. He held on, breathing hard. Riley was already pushing off to intercept his partner. Same technique. Catch, redirect, anchor. Both soldiers secured. Riley pulled herself to the beam between them. "You need to stop fighting," she said. "Your instincts are wrong here. You keep trying to find down. There is no down." "This is impossible," Lorne growled. "We trained for months. You trained with magnetic boots. Those are off now." Riley looked at both of them. "Listen, you're strong. That's good. But in 0G, strong does not help if you don't know how to use it. Every push, you go the opposite direction. Every grab, you create spin. You have to think before you move." Lorne's partner, a younger Grax, spoke up. "How do humans learn this?" "We play," Riley said simply. "When I was a kid, we played tag in the water tanks. 3-dimensional chase games. You learn to think in all directions." She pulled out 2 more cables from her belt. "I'm going to tether you both. Follow my movements exactly. We're going to the safe zone." The journey back was slower. The Grax soldiers were too heavy, too muscle-bound. Every movement had to be deliberate. But Riley was patient, calling out each maneuver, waiting for them to copy her technique. By the time they reached the safe zone, where Haven waited, both soldiers were starting to understand. Not graceful, but functional. Riley checked the chronometer on her wrist display. 45 minutes gone. One more rescue to go. Section 4. Commander Quinn. She pushed off toward the main corridor again, moving faster now. The commander was the priority. He was trapped in a section with the worst life support failure. His oxygen would be running low. Riley sailed through the darkness, her helmet lamp cutting through the black. She was tired. Her arms ached from all the maneuvering, but she had done harder work in worse conditions. She just hoped Commander Quinn's pride would not make this rescue more difficult than it needed to be. Section 4 was venting atmosphere. Riley could hear it before she saw it, a high-pitched whistle that meant a hull breach somewhere. She pulled herself through the access corridor and found the problem immediately. A piece of debris had punctured the outer wall during the electromagnetic pulse. Air was streaming out into space. Commander Quinn was tumbling in the middle of the room, spinning on two axes at once, caught in the current of escaping air. Every few seconds he would drift closer to the breach. Then the turbulence would push him away again. He was fighting it, arms and legs moving in a pattern that probably worked great on a low-gravity world, but here just made him spin faster. Riley grabbed the door frame and held position against the pull of escaping air. She needed to stop that leak first, or they would both run out of oxygen before she could get them out. She scanned the room. There, a loose panel floating near the ceiling. She pushed off at an angle, caught the panel, and used it like a shield as she kicked her way toward the breach. The suction grabbed at her, trying to pull her through the hole, but she wedged the panel against the wall and slapped an emergency sealant patch over it. The whistling stopped. The air current died. Commander Quinn was still spinning. Riley pushed off the wall and intercepted him. She caught his arm, rotated with him once to match his spin, then grabbed a wall strut and used it to kill their momentum. They came to rest against the far wall. Quinn's eyes were wide behind his helmet visor. His breathing was rapid. "Commander," Riley said, "you're safe now." Quinn pulled his arm free from her grip. "I did not require assistance. I was managing the situation." Riley bit back her first response and tried again. "Your oxygen is at 20%. The safe zone is 3 sections away. We need to move. I'm a fleet commander. I have completed void survival training. Then you know how much air you have left." Riley kept her voice level. "You could be embarrassed about needing help, or you can be dead because you were too proud to take it. Which is it going to be?" Quinn stared at her. Behind his visor, something shifted in his expression. He nodded once, stiff and formal. "Proceed." Riley attached a tether to his harness. "When I move, you move. Same direction, same timing. Don't think about up or down. There is no floor here." She pushed off, heading for the exit. Quinn followed, awkward but trying. They moved through the damaged corridor, and Riley could feel him analyzing every movement she made. Therians were strategic thinkers. He was not just following her. He was studying her. "You do not use a computer," Quinn said after a while, "for trajectory calculations. Don't need one." Riley caught a handhold and redirected them around a corner. "You learn to feel it. That is imprecise. Maybe, but it works." She glanced back at him. "How long did you train for zero-G operations?" 4 years of simulations. 2 years of practical exercises. "I learned swimming when I was 5, Riley said. "Diving off rocks when I was 8. By the time I was 15, I was doing repairs outside the mining station. Never thought of it as special training. Just stuff you do. Your species treats elite military skills as recreational activities." Riley had a laugh at that. "I guess vedo. Never thought about it like that." She pulled them through another junction. "Back home, kids play games in 3 dimensions all the time. Climbing trees, jumping off cliffs into water, sports where you track a ball flying through the air. Your brain learns to calculate angles and momentum without thinking about it. Therians evolved on a world with 1/3 your gravity," Quinn said quietly. "We never needed to develop such skills. Our space program was built around artificial gravity from the beginning. We never learned to work in the void itself. So you built technology to compensate." "Yes, and it worked until today." There was frustration in his voice, but also something else. "Respect, maybe. You move like you were born in space." "Nah, born on Earth, actually. Lived there until I was 10. Riley guided them into the main corridor. The safe zone was visible ahead. "Earth's got heavy gravity. 1 full G. When you grow up there, then come out here, it feels like flying. Like someone cut all the ropes." They reached the safe zone. Dr. Haven and the two Grak soldiers were still there, secured to various handholds. All three looked relieved to see Riley return with Commander Quinn. Riley checked everyone's oxygen levels, enough to wait for the rescue shuttles. She anchored herself to a wall strut and allowed herself to relax for the first time since entering the derelict. Quinn positioned himself nearby. He was watching her with those large dark eyes, clearly working through something in his mind. "What is it?" Riley asked. "I'm attempting to understand how your species became so proficient at something we find nearly impossible." Quinn gestured at the corridor around them. "We have better technology, more advanced ships, centuries more experience in space than humanity. Yet a single human technician accomplished in minutes what our elite teams could not do at all." Riley shrugged. "Different skills for different situations. I bet your people can do things I would find impossible." "Perhaps." Quinn was quiet for a moment. "But this was humbling. I led soldiers into a situation where our training became worthless. If not for you, we would have died here. You would have figured something out." "No," Quinn said firmly. "We would not have. That is the point." He looked at the other rescued aliens. "We relied on technology and forgot that sometimes you need to adapt without it." Humans seem to have never forgotten that. Dr. Haven spoke up, his four arms gesturing animatedly. "I have been considering this. Human evolution is fascinating. You developed on a high-gravity world, which required constant spatial awareness. Your bodies had to track position and momentum simply to walk. Then your species reached space and found that same awareness translated perfectly to three-dimensional movement. You are saying humans are naturally suited for void operations," Quinn said. "I am saying that what you trained for years to achieve poorly, humans learn as children without trying." Sergeant Lorne shifted his grip on the handhold. "That explains why human voidwalkers in the Coalition forces perform so much better than any other species. We assumed it was better training methods. But it is not training at all. It is instinct." Riley felt uncomfortable being the center of attention. "It's not that big a deal. You all would have adapted eventually." "Eventually," Quinn repeated. "But how many of our people have died because we did not adapt fast enough?" He looked directly at Riley. "How many coalition operations have failed because we could not function properly in zero-G environments?" The question hung in the air. Riley did not have an answer. The sound of docking clamps echoed through the structure. The rescue shuttles had arrived. Through the porthole window, Riley could see Captain Webb's face, relief visible even at a distance. The rescued aliens moved toward the airlock, careful now, thinking about each motion. Riley followed, ready to help if anyone started to tumble. As they filed into the shuttle, Commander Quinn turned back to her. "This is not over, Technician Santos. What happened today changes things." Riley was not sure what he meant, but she nodded anyway. She was just glad everyone got out alive. The observation deck was crowded. Riley had never seen so many high-ranking officers in one place. Commanders from 6 different coalition species, their aides and advisors, all floating or maglocked around the training chamber's viewing windows. They were there to watch her. Riley felt deeply uncomfortable. "Just show them what you did in the derelict," Captain Webb had told her an hour ago. "Nothing fancy, just basic movement." But now, looking at all those faces watching her, basic movement felt impossible. Commander Quinn's voice came through the speaker system. "Technician Santos, please demonstrate standard zero-G navigation from point Alpha to point Beta." Riley took a breath and pushed off from the starting platform. She glided across the training chamber, caught a handhold at the midpoint, used it to redirect herself 90 degrees, and touched down at the target platform. Total time, 11 seconds. Through the window, she saw several alien officers pull out data tablets and start making notes. "Again," Quinn said. "But this time, explain your thought process." Riley pushed off again. "Okay, so first I look at where I need to go and where I am. I calculate the angle in my head, just sort of naturally, same way you'd throw a ball at a target. Then I push off hard enough to get there, but not so hard I can't stop. I use my arms to adjust my rotation mid-flight, just little movements. When I get close, I reach out and grab something to kill the momentum. That's it." She landed the target. 12 seconds this time, because she had been talking. Dr. Haven's voice came through the speakers. She makes it sound simple. For her, it is, another voice said. Riley recognized the translator pattern of a Korean scientist. Notice she does not use any equipment. No computer calculations. Nuestras directions. Pure spatial awareness. An alien officer Riley did not recognize moved to the microphone. Technician Santos, could you retrieve the red marker floating near the ceiling? Riley looked up. There, about 20 meters above her, a small red sphere drifted lazily. She pushed off, angled her body to account for the marker's movement, and plucked it out of the air as she passed. She used the ceiling to redirect herself back to the platform. The alien officers were talking among themselves now, pointing at their tablets. Riley caught words like impossible and genetic advantage and combat applications. May I try? It was Sergeant Lorne, his voice coming through the chamber speaker system. Please do, Quinn replied. The door at the far end of the chamber opened. Lorne entered, moving carefully with his magnetic boots. He reached the starting platform, deactivated his boots, and pushed off toward the target. He immediately started to rotate. His push had been too hard, and he had not compensated for his body's uneven mass distribution. He sailed past the target platform, reached out to grab it, and the motion sent him into a spin. He tumbled across the chamber and hit the far wall with a thud. Riley winced. Lorne tried again. This time he pushed softer, but his trajectory was off by almost 30 degrees. He drifted sideways and had to use his emergency thruster pack to correct. By the time he reached the target platform, he had used half his fuel. This is ridiculous, Lorne muttered. I have trained for 2 years. Try thinking about it, like jumping into water, Riley suggested. When you dive, you know where you're going to enter the surface, right? Same idea here. You're diving through space instead of air. My species never learned to swim. Our world had shallow seas. Riley thought about that. Okay, different approach. You ever throw something? Like toss an object to someone. Yes, that's all this is. You're throwing yourself. Your body is the object. You aim, you push, you land. Just like throwing a ball. Lorne tried once more. This time he thought about it as throwing himself. His trajectory was better, maybe 10 degrees off instead of 30. He still had to use thrusters to correct, but less of them. Better, Riley said. Up in the observation deck, the conversation had grown more intense. Riley could hear it through the speakers, even though they probably did not realize she could. We need to reassess our entire Voidwalker training program, someone was saying. Agreed. If a human technician with no formal military training can outperform our elite units, we are doing something fundamentally wrong. Commander Quinn's voice cut through the chatter. The issue is not our training methods. The issue is that we're training the wrong instincts. We teach protocols and procedures for a type of movement our species never evolved to perform naturally. Humans did. That is the difference. So what do you propose? We learn from them. There was a pause. Then Dr. Haven spoke. I have been analyzing the biological and cultural factors. Human children engage in activities that develop three-dimensional spatial reasoning from an early age. Swimming, climbing, ball games, acrobatics. Their brains are literally wired differently by the time they reach adulthood. Can other species develop similar abilities? Perhaps, with enough practice. But we would be fighting millions of years of evolutionary adaptation. Humans spent their entire development on a high-gravity world, constantly calculating trajectories just to move around. Then they came to space and found those same skills translated perfectly. Riley was starting to understand why Quinn had asked for this demonstration. It was not about showing off human abilities. It was about proving a point to the coalition leadership. Another alien officer tried the navigation course. Then another. Each one struggled with the same basic problems. Too much rotation, wrong angles, overcorrection. They were thinking too hard about something humans did without thinking at all. Finally, Quinn came through the speakers again. Technician Santos, I would like you to teach Sergeant Lorne a specific maneuver. The emergency interception technique you used to catch me when I was spinning. Riley looked at Lorne. You ready? I will try. Okay. First, you have to watch the target. See how they're moving, which way they're rotating. You don't calculate it with numbers. You just watch and feel when the moment is right. Feel. Yeah, like catching a ball. You don't do math when you catch something. You just know when to reach out. Riley demonstrated, pushing off and catching a tumbling piece of debris mid-rotation. She made it look easy because for her it was. Lorne tried. He pushed off too early, missed the debris completely, and had to correct with thrusters again. Watch longer, Riley said. Wait until you know you can catch it. He tried again. Better. He actually touched the debris this time, even though he could not hold on to it. Third try, he caught it. Clumsy, using way too much effort, but he caught it. Up in the observation deck, someone started clapping. Riley spent the next hour teaching basic techniques to anyone who wanted to try. Some species adapted faster than others. The ones from low-gravity worlds had the hardest time. The ones from planets closer to Earth's gravity did a bit better. But none of them made it look natural. None of them had that instinctive understanding of momentum and rotation that humans develop from childhood. When the demonstration finally ended, Riley pulled herself back to the observation deck. Captain Webb was waiting with a slight smile. Good job, Santos. You just became the Coalition's most valuable training instructor. I'm a maintenance technician. Not anymore. Webb handed her a data tablet. Effective immediately, you're being reassigned to Coalition Training Command. They want you to develop a new zero-G curriculum based on human techniques. Riley stared at the tablet. I don't know how to teach this stuff. I just do it. Then you'll learn. The whole galaxy is watching now. They need to know why humans are better at this. Through the window, Riley could see the training chamber being reset for the next exercise. She thought about all those alien soldiers struggling with something she had learned playing games as a kid. Maybe Webb was right. Maybe this was bigger than just one rescue mission. 3 months later, Riley stood in the redesigned training facility and watched a Thessian soldier catch a floating object without using thrusters. It had taken 8 weeks of practice, but he finally did it. Small victories. The new curriculum was nothing like traditional Coalition Voidwalker training. Riley had thrown out the protocol manuals and computer-assisted movement guides. Instead, the training chamber looked more like a playground. Colored spheres floated at different heights. Rings hung from cables. Platforms at odd angles provided push-off points. In the center, a massive cube of cargo netting created a three-dimensional maze. Think of it as a game, Riley told her students. You're not training for combat. You're learning to play. The class was small, only 15 students, representing 7 different species. Commander Quinn had insisted on joining, despite his rank. Sergeant Lorne was there too, along with Dr. Haven and several younger Coalition officers who had volunteered to be test subjects for the new methods. Riley drifted to the center of the chamber. Today we're doing chase exercises. I'm going to throw these balls in random directions. Your job is to catch as many as you can before they hit the walls. Don't think about it. Don't calculate. Just react. She tossed the first ball. A young Korean officer pushed off to intercept it, rotated wrong, and missed completely. The ball bounced off his shoulder and careened away. Lorne tried for the second ball. He had improved since the first demonstration, but he still used too much force. He caught the ball, but slammed into the wall hard enough to rattle his bones. Commander Quinn went for the third ball. He had been practicing constantly, and it showed. His trajectory was clean, his rotation minimal. He caught the ball and used the ceiling to redirect himself back to the starting area. Riley tossed 5 more balls in quick succession. Chaos erupted. Students pushed off in all directions, some colliding with each other, others missing their targets entirely. But they were trying. More importantly, they were starting to react instinctively instead of thinking through every move. After an hour of catch practice, Riley moved them to the cargo net maze. The exercise was simple. Navigate from one side to the other without using thrusters. Dr. Haven went first. He pulled himself along the netting with all 4 arms, slow but steady. Halfway through, he made the mistake of pushing too hard and started to drift away from the structure. He panicked, reaching out, and managed to snag a rope with one hand. Good save, Riley called out. That's exactly what you need to do. When things go wrong, don't freeze. Just grab whatever is close. She demonstrated the course herself, flowing through the maze like water, using minimal contact points, each movement precise. When she finished, several students were taking notes on their tablets. "Stop writing," Riley said. "You can't learn this from notes. You have to feel it." A young Grax officer raised his hand. "But feeling is imprecise. We need procedures. Protocols." "Why?" Riley asked. "When you walk, do you think about which muscle to activate? When you pick up a cup, do you calculate the exact force needed? No, you just do it. This is the same thing. Your body knows what to do if you stop telling it how to think." Quinn spoke up from across the chamber. "She is correct. I have made more progress in 3 months using these methods than in 2 years of traditional training. The difference is that traditional training teaches us to fight our instincts. This training teaches us to develop new instincts. But humans have a biological advantage," the Grax officer protested. "We cannot simply develop human neural pathways." "No," Riley agreed, "but you can build new ones. Look at Sergeant Lorne." Lorne pushed off from the wall and crossed the chamber in a smooth glide. Not perfect, not graceful, but functional. He caught a handhold and stopped without spinning. 3 months ago, he could not do that without using magnetic boots and 3 different types of stabilization equipment. Now he can. His brain adapted. Yours can too. Dr. Haven pulled himself over to Riley. "I have been documenting the neurological changes in students who complete this program. The brain scans are remarkable. We are quite literally rewiring our spatial processing centers." "How long does it take?" someone asked. "Varies by species," Haven said. "Corians like myself show significant improvement after about 6 weeks. Grax take longer, perhaps 3 months. Therians are somewhere in the middle. But every species shows improvement." Riley started the next exercise. It was a game she remembered from her childhood, adapted for 0G. One person in the middle of the chamber, everyone else on the walls. The middle person had to tag someone, who would then become the new middle person. It sounded simple. It was not. The students pushed off from the walls, trying to evade Riley as she sailed through the chamber. She caught Quinn first, intercepting him mid-flight with a gentle tap. He became the new tagger. Quinn tried to catch Haven, but the Corian scientist had learned to use his 4 arms to change direction mid-flight. Quinn sailed past him, cursing in his own language. Lorne attempted to tag the young Grax officer, but his target twisted at the last second, and Lorne went spinning off course. He corrected, using just his hands to stop the rotation. Progress. Riley watched from the wall. This was what the Coalition needed. Not more technology. Not better equipment. Just practice. Just play. After the training session ended, Commander Quinn approached her. "The Coalition Command has reviewed your program results. They want to expand it. Every Voidwalker unit in the fleet will be required to complete this training." Riley blinked. "Every unit? That's thousands of personnel." "Yes, which means you will need assistant instructors. I am recommending several of our current students." "Quinn, I'm not qualified to run a galaxy-wide training program. I fix ventilation systems." "You were a technician," Quinn corrected. "Now you are the being who proved that humanity's greatest contribution to the Coalition is not your technology or your weapons. It is your adaptability, your ability to function in environments that cripple other species." He gestured at the training chamber. "This facility will become the Coalition Voidwalker Academy. You will be its director." Riley wanted to protest, but the words died in her throat. She looked at her students, at Lorne practicing his rotation control, at Haven helping a younger officer understand 3-dimensional thinking, at all of them slowly, painfully learning skills that human children developed playing tag. "Okay," she said quietly. "I'll do it, but we do it my way. No protocol manjuas. No equipment dependence. Just practice and patience." "Agreed." Quinn extended his hand in the human gesture of agreement. Riley shook it. "There's one more thing," Quinn said. "We are forming a joint human-alien rapid response team. Elite Voidwalkers who can handle emergency rescues in any environment. We want you to lead it." "Me? I'm not military." "Exactly. We have enough soldiers who think like soldiers. We need someone who thinks like you." Riley looked through the window at Nexus Station 7, at the endless stars beyond. She thought about the derelict platform, about 6 terrified aliens she had pulled from darkness, about all the others who might need help in the future. "All right," she said, "but I choose the team members, and we train my way." Quinn smiled. It was the first time she had seen a Thessian smile. "I would expect nothing less." The distress signal came at 0400 station time. Riley was already awake, floating in her quarters with a cup of coffee, reviewing training schedules for the next class cycle. Her communicator chimed. Captain Webb's face appeared on the screen. "We have a situation. Cargo hauler lost power near the asteroid belt. 12 crew, mixed species. Hull breach in 3 sections. They need immediate extraction." Riley was already moving, pulling on her pressure suit. "How far?" 2 hours by fast shuttle. "The problem is debris. The hauler crashed into an asteroid fragment. Wreckage everywhere. Standard rescue teams can't navigate it safely." "I'm on my way." Riley sealed her helmet and pushed toward the door. "Tell my team to meet me at Base 7. The team was already there when she arrived. Commander Quinn, moving confidently in 0G now, his magnetic boots retracted. Sergeant Lorne, who had learned to use his bulk as an advantage instead of a liability. Dr. Haven, all 4 arms securing equipment with practiced efficiency. 3 human voidwalkers from Earth, and 2 younger aliens who had graduated top of their class from the new training program. 8 beings, 3 species, 1 mission. Briefing en route, Riley said, pulling herself into the shuttle. "We have 12 lives to save and not much time to do it." The shuttle launched. Riley brought up the holographic display showing the damaged cargo hauler. It looked bad. The ship had rolled during the collision, scattering cargo containers across a kilometer of space. The crew was trapped in different sections, separated by vacuum and twisted metal. "Standard approach won't work," Quinn observed. "Too much debris. We'll have to go in individually, extract the crew one by one." "Pairs," Riley corrected. "Never going alone. We've trained for this." She assigned the teams. Quinn with one of the human voidwalkers. Lorne with a young Thessian graduate. Haven with another human. Riley would take the hardest section herself with the remaining team member, a Korean named Pell, who had shown remarkable aptitude for 3-dimensional thinking. The shuttle approached the wreckage field. Through the viewport, Riley could see the cargo hauler spinning slowly, trailing debris like a wounded animal. "Remember your training," she said. "Don't fight the environment. Use it. Debris is just another handhold. Rotation is just another trajectory. You know how to do this." They exited the shuttle in pairs, each team heading for their assigned section. Riley and Pell pushed off toward the ship's central compartment, where sensors showed 4 crew members trapped. The debris field was worse up close. Cargo containers tumbled past, some still venting atmosphere, creating currents in the void. Riley navigated through it like threading a needle, Pell following her lead. They reached the damaged airlock. Riley could see crew members inside, pressed against the inner door, waving frantically. She got the outer door open manually and pulled herself inside. For beings, 2 Grax, 1 Thessian, 1 human, all terrified but alive. "We're getting you out," Riley said. "Stay calm and follow instructions." She distributed emergency tethers, attached 1 crew member to herself and another to Pell. Then she led them back out into the debris field. Nearby, she could see Quinn's team extracting crew from another section. His movements were smooth now, confident. He caught a tumbling crew member mid-rotation and redirected them towards safety without even using thrusters. Lorne's team was working on a section with heavy structural damage. Riley watched him use his strength to pry open a jammed door, then gently guide a small Korean crew member out. The big soldier who had once bounced helplessly through a derelict station now moved with careful precision. Haven was using all 4 arms to manage 2 crew members at once, keeping them calm while navigating through a particularly dense section of debris. They were doing it, all of them, working together, human instinct combined with alien determination. Riley delivered her crew members to the shuttle and went back for more. 3 more trips through the debris field. 3 more rescues. By the time she pulled the last crew member to safety, she was exhausted, but everyone was alive. The shuttle pulled away from the wreckage, carrying all 12 rescued crew members plus the rescue team. Riley floated in the cargo bay, watching her team help the survivors get settled. Quinn drifted over to her. Efficient operation. The training worked. You all worked, Riley corrected. I just showed you the basics. You built the skills yourselves. Still, without your intervention 3 months ago, none of us would have survived the derelict incident. Now we just saved 12 lives because you taught us how humans move in space. Riley looked around the cargo bay. At the mix of species, human and alien, all functioning together in zero-G like it was natural. Lauren was helping a Grax crew member secure themselves to a seat. Haven was checking a human engineer for injuries. The younger graduates were distributing water and emergency rations. It's not about humans versus aliens, Riley said. It's about learning from each other. You all taught me things too, such as patience, persistence, how to teach something I never thought about. Riley smiled. Turns out showing someone else how to do something makes you better at it yourself. The shuttle docked with Nexus Station 7. Medical teams were waiting to receive the rescued crew. Captain Webb met Riley at the airlock, relief evident on his face. Good work, Director Santos. Riley still was not used to the title. Just doing the job, sir. This is the 3rd successful rescue this month using your trained teams. Coalition Command is impressed. They're authorizing expansion of the Academy. More instructors, more students. They want every Voidwalker in the fleet retrained within 2 years. Riley nodded slowly. We can do that, but we'll need more training facilities, more equipment, more. Already approved. Whatever you need. Through the station windows, Riley could see more shuttles arriving. The next class cycle starting. Dozens of alien officers from across Coalition space, coming to learn what human children figured out playing in swimming pools and climbing trees. She thought about her journey, from fixing ventilation systems to directing an academy, from anonymous technician to someone the whole galaxy paid attention to. It was strange. It was overwhelming. It was also kind of wonderful. 6 months ago, Commander Quinn had told her that humans brought something special to the Coalition. She had not believed it then. She had thought it was just luck, just circumstance. But watching Lauren move confidently through zero-G, seeing Haven calculate trajectories by instinct instead of mathematics, witnessing aliens from a dozen worlds learn to fly, she understood now. Humans were not better than other species. They were just different. And those differences, when shared, when taught, when combined with alien wisdom and technology and determination, made everyone stronger. The Coalition was not just a military alliance or a political structure. It was beings from different worlds learning from each other, building something bigger than any one species could create alone. Riley pushed off toward the academy wing of the station. She had a class to teach in 30 minutes. Basic spatial awareness for new Grax recruits. They would struggle at first. They would get frustrated, but eventually they would learn. And maybe someday it would be second nature to them too. Behind her, Captain Webb watched her go. He was smiling. In the academy training chamber, students from 4 different species were already warming up, tossing balls to each other, practicing their push-offs, helping each other correct mistakes. They moved with growing confidence, slowly mastering skills that had once seemed impossible. Riley floated to the center of the chamber and clapped her hands. All right, everyone, let's get started. Today we're working on rotational control and emergency interception. Remember what I always say, no ground, no problem. If you can think in 3 dimensions, you can work in zero-G. Let's prove it. The students spread out across the chamber, ready to begin. And high above, through the station's transparent dome, the stars watched in silence as the newest members of the galactic community taught ancient spacefaring civilizations that sometimes the best way forward was to stop walking and learn to fly.